And the master, y'all alright? Very good. So it's another Sunday, another opportunity for us to delve deeper into the mysteries of Platonism. And in our nation, we are coming into a point in time whereby we will celebrate what we like to call Emancipation Day. And you know what's interesting is that it really hit me recently that if they're only going to give you one day for emancipation, what the rest of the day is called? It must be slavery, eh? You know, you get this one day. We should be celebrating Emancipation Day every day. You should have the freedom to do that, but obviously we don't. Because we have to be given time to celebrate this Emancipation Day. So this week and next week, we're going to be talking a little bit about Emancipation Day, but more importantly, emancipation of self and emancipation of self and kind, and emancipation of our people. See? And in the Holy Qubtic Church, we understand that true faith and true emancipation comes by way of these sacred 9 rites. See, a lot of people love the Holy Qubtic Church for the knowledge that we bestow upon them. And they love to come and sit and hear all the new information that maybe they never heard before, or they listen to the services or fellowships on Facebook or YouTube, and maybe they write down some Bible verses that they, you know, have missed their eye over the years, and now they have another point of view or another icebreaker or something else that they can discuss. And that's all good and well. You know, we are here to make people see and make people hear. That's what Joshua did. He made the blind see and he made the deaf hear. And so that is a part of what we're doing. But ultimately, being conscious is not enough. As we always say in the Qubtic Church, there has to be a conscientious consciousness. You have to care, and you have to love, and you have to be about the business of living with purpose. There are a lot of people out in the world that actually you wouldn't even surprise with some of the information that we teach here in the Holy Qubtic Church, because they're well read and they know a lot of this stuff. And as I say, the knowledge is not ours, we're just sharing it. We're just making sure that people understand where we fit in with regards to the knowledge. But there are people outside the Qubtic Church that are well aware of what we teach on some level. And the reality is, while that is all good and well, what have we been able to do with this knowledge? What have we been able to accomplish? As I was driving up here today, I was thinking about how we as Nubian Melaninite so-called blacks, we have already the freedom that is needed to do whatever it is we want to do as a people. You know, we comprise or compose the majority of the players in many of these sporting industries. When I say us, people like to only think about people like so-called black people. Latinos are us too. You know, you're in the Caribbean, you know what I'm saying? You us. So let's just be clear about that. When you look at it that way, you know, the numbers in your head should have increased 100-fold as regards to baseball, basketball, football, track and field. You watch the Olympics, and it's interesting to see who's really good at what sport. And it's beautiful to watch, because everybody's good at something. You know, that's why, even though I don't necessarily like, you know, or I shouldn't say I don't like, but I recognize what the Olympics is really about, and Mount Olympus and all that stuff. Just put that to the side a second and just watch the world come together. As honest a way as the world could actually participate in anything. And I say that to say, to be an Olympian, to be an Olympic medalist, that's an elite club to be in a good way. That's elitism at its best. What I mean by that? It don't matter who you know. It don't matter what your religion is, or your race, or if you like, gay people or don't like gay people. None of that matters. When you line up and the gun go off, or whatever sport you do and however they start it, when you line up and it's time to go, the only thing you have is you, yourself, and maybe your teammates, depending on what sport you play. And that's it. And that's really, when you break this thing down for a life, that's really all you have. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you know people and you have opportunities, once you have been given those opportunities, and once you have, once you're there now, something like, okay, I know you're going to give you a job. It's up to you now to perform on the job. Somebody is able to get you into a high-profile university. Okay, go out there, got your books, got your schedule. The rest is up to you. When you really break it down, it's the God or the goddess within that actually is going to allow you to excel, and that's what we're seeing in the Olympics. Sure, there's room for error, but essentially at the core, that's what we're dealing with. I use that analogy to say this. In the Holy Qubtic Church, our rites are sacred to us, and they are our stepping stones to emancipation. It's hard for some people to appreciate and value those rites because no one else right now is talking about them in the same way that you hear other religions talk about their sacraments, or other people talk about what is sacred to them on a mass level. Remember, we are resurrecting the Holy Qubtic Church, and you are the head of that resurrection. You understand? So the first person to do anything has to have the most confidence of anyone else or any other group of people that come afterwards, right? So in the original books of the Bible, it speaks of what Qubtic means and why it's important for us to focus on these 9 sacred rites. On page 53 of the original books of the Bible, verse 59, page 53, verse 59, reads, "Our children suffer for a lack of knowledge." Of course, that's Hosea 4 and 6. But it reads, "Yet the knowledge of this and many processions and the events surrounding them is why the lands, churches, universities, and hospitals of Tamaray, which is ancient Africa, held a sacred name, Qubtic, meaning central access point, around which all other societies revolve." Okay, so the Holy Qubtic Church is speaking to the fact that all other societies revolve around your original existence. You get caught up in the fray, again, it's on you. At the end of the day, it's on you. If you come back to the origin, you'll see yourself in greatness. Out of which was rebirthed the original Holy Qubtic Church, which directly brought all Tamarayan societies and cultures towards unity and unification by way of atonism, where our many divine angelic relatives, forces, precepts, teachings, and rites were brought into one unified whole, which was able to properly agree and function as the Kanisa or church, the Holy Qubtic Church, which was re-established by the high priest, seer, and prophet Akhenaton the Great, around 3500 BCE or 2000 BC, depending on which calendar is consulted. So the fact that all of these things, whether it was our divine angelic relatives, the forces of nature, the precepts, the teachings, and the rites. The fact that all these things have to be brought together utilizing atonism means that there came a point in time where these things were not unified, where things began to go their separate ways, where people decided that they had it all figured out and they wanted to do things their own way. See, and the Most High is ever merciful and ever yielding. So the Most High will allow you to go and maybe do things that you feel is important for you to do, because there's no place that the Most High isn't. There's no place that the Most High isn't. And so far as even when you are living in confusion, living in doubt, living in fear, the Most High is still there, but the Most High is only going to give you what it is you actually put out. It's like a sponge. You could only squeeze out of that sponge what was put into that sponge. And when you look at it that way, the Most High is providing us with an opportunity to utilize all of the things that have been given to us. And in utilizing those things that have been given to us, we have the actual power. Like Minister Louis Farrakhan was speaking at Prairie View, Texas Agricultural College. And he was saying how, I think I posted it on my Facebook page, but it was a really good talk, and he was saying how, other animals, you never see other animals waiting in line for food. There's no earthworm line, there's no snail line, there's no dog line waiting for food, no tiger line, no other animal waits in line for food outside of humans. But someone said, ain't no animals. Maybe we need to be animals. If we can't figure out how to utilize all of the food and all of the things that we've been given to strengthen ourselves, we've limited ourselves to waiting on a line for food. When the formula has already been put in place, where you could take a seed, put it in the ground, cover it, put some water and love and attention in it, and that food comes out of the ground, and you're waiting on line for food. That's a serious place to be. That's a serious mentality to be walking around with. You see? So, even though we are making, I forget how many $1 trillion supposed to pass through the hands of black people this year. 5 trillion, whatever the number is.
No, actually,
in the Bahamas alone.
we get about 5 trillion that run to us. About 20 trillion, but globally runs to us.
Okay. So you got trillions of dollars, and I have no doubt, believe it or not, because that's why financial industry is our second best industry. So we got all this money coming through us, but we still get these problems. So what's really the problem then? Because when you have somebody complaining about this and the leg and the neck and the back and and the dog bite me and the cat scratch me and carrying off, and you're like, okay, that's just getting to the surface of what's really going on. What's the real issue here? What's the real problem with us as a people? One of the main things is we do not know how to value ourselves. So this re-establishing of the Holy Qubtic Church also re-established the original teachings of the divine Tamarian quality. In the Holy Qubtic Church, we don't only have a Trinity, because we do have a Trinity, but we also have a quality. Right? Speaking to the number 4, which is 1, Most High Father, 2, Blessed Mother, 3, Willing Son, and 4, Holy Soul. Okay? That's a formula. That's a formula. Okay? Giving you a formula of a family. Christianity does not give you the formula of a family in this day and time. And why? Because it was these precepts that were stolen by Constantine, the Roman emperor, who had it watered down, mistranslated, altered, and mistaught by way of the First Nicene Council in such a way as to create a new religious branch, of monotheism that was the first recognized church of combined Greek, Hellenistic, and Roman imperial cult teachings, namely the Roman Catholic Church, in his attempt to unify many of the tribes of Europe as one under the Roman Empire. He didn't build that church, folks. As much as we could complain about him and say Emperor Constantine, 325, Nicene Council, Nicene, who's to blame for that? If you go running behind somebody that didn't build something for you in the first place, then you get what you get. Now some people say, well, yeah, they came running after us and made us. They made us follow it. Yes, they did to a point, but how come this all is still surviving? Obviously everybody didn't follow that trend of running behind the Roman Catholic Church, because this knowledge is still there. So somebody was keeping it. Somebody was keeping it. The Holy Qubtic Church was keeping it. That's why we're still here today. You see? So these 9 sacred rites then that we always talk about, all right, we need to always keep them in the front of our minds, because ultimately, and I will continue to say it because it's true, at this stage in our development, fellowships will be much more full than service. Service on Sunday morning, there's a certain conscience. Yeah. Wednesday, can't find parking. Sunday, to find parking easy. Right? And it's interesting to watch. I'm enjoying watching it, because it just shows how real what we're dealing with is. Alright? And it shows the dichotomy that makes this church up, and so far we're not just a conscientious church. We don't just preach love and salvation and grace. We also have a conscious aspect to the teachings. Right? So these 9 rites now, I don't care how much you know. I don't care how much you've read. I don't care what school you went to. I don't care how many degrees you have. These 9 rites. Put all of that to the side and just ask you to humble yourself, go back into yourself, and in doing so you will emancipate yourself by way of these 9 rites. So of course the first rite of the Holy Qubtic Church is the rite of baptism, or mikvah, alright, for the remission of sins. Alright, and for those of you who have already taken the rite of baptism, you know and understand that in this rite we utilize the 4 primary elements, namely earth, wind, water, and fire. Okay? Because it is those elements that are allowing you to be rebirthed. Okay? It is the earth, and in your body would represent what? Your skin, your body. The wind is the breath. The water is the blood, or the actual plasma in the blood. And then of course the fire is the true light, the solar plex. Okay? Again, the watered down version of Christianity today only recognizes the water. Right? And why is that? Verse 60. Let Eneas' words continue throughout all earth. For your planet's equinox period varies from 24,000 to 24,896 years, based on this precession and when it occurs. The precession, that was been taught before, and the top, you get a good, you get the top spinning really well. It's pretty much straight, and then as it slows down, the velocity starts to wobble. That wobbling is what the Earth is doing right now. And that's called a precession. Each wobble takes about 26,000 years. Okay? And that causes the planet's equinox, okay, which is about 25,000 years, close to the precession. It changes it anywhere from 24,000 to 24,896, or rounded up to 25,000 years, right? Thereby, know you this, that during the latter days of the Piscean era of water, called Eneas, okay, Piscean era of water called Eneas, by those of the lesser Tamarian mysteries, which was in fact presided over by the female angelic guardian of water, Tefnut. Tefnut, the guardian angelic host that was responsible or dealt with water. Okay, moisture. Okay, the planet called Tar Earth has been positioned in such a way to align with the celestial bodies, thereby bringing about the end of the third cycle of this present galactical cycle, yet fourth cycle of this present day planetary cycle that did take place in the year 1970, the official year that did allow for the opening of the seven seals, which brings forth the seven thunders, as seen in Revelation chapter 10, 3 and 4, that Earth and her inhabitants must witness and experience. That's what we're going through today. With the waters, with the earth, with the wind, with the fire. Check out those four elements and see how they've been dealing with us as humanity on the planet. You'll see that something is happening. There's a change going on. Okay? Just as the planets are aligning or becoming at one with each other, so too must humanity. Okay? So this rite of baptism, okay, or Ahudism Estazem. Ahudism Estazem. That's yeah, there. Alright? Ahudism. Qubtic. Okay, so the baptism rite, bond means up, right? The baptism rite. What do you see? This is the Tamaric. The middle of this word for baptism is the word Qubtic or Hadi, which really translates as guide, or those that actually give guidance. See, as those of the tribe of Judah or Yahuda. Yes? So the tribe of guidance. This was a rite that the Nazarenes took and partook in insofar as in becoming or aligning oneself with each other by way of atonism. This particular rite aligned you with nature, and each person that was aligned with nature then became aligned with each other. You see, and that is when nature is its most powerful. Because when you wake up in the morning or go into bed or whenever it is you take a shower, the water feels good. It's just enough water to wash you, refresh you. But if for some reason there was a storm, that very same water will make your life a living hell. Because of the force generated by all of the water pushing through, whether it's a river or whether it's the ocean coming as a tsunami or whatever have you. You understand what I'm saying? Flooding, etc. And it's the same thing with us as a people. One to a few people or organizations speaking about consciousness and love of self and kind, you know, it's a spiritual massage is what I call it. But it really does nothing for us as far as moving us into the position of leading ourselves and controlling our destiny is concerned, when we all now decide that we truly want, when I say all of us, I mean all of the so-called conscious people, all the so-called religious people, all of the people who say they care for the planet, who say they care for what the Most High Heavenly One has put in place, when we all decide that we just really sick and tired of being sick and tired and decide how to help each other, then we'll start to see the changes. This is something that in this country today, you know, the urban renewal, we as pastors came together recently and really had a good discussion on, you know, how we could help this community. You know, one pastor who was a church not too far from here, I think his church is World Changes, I can't remember his name at this point, but he spoke about the renewal of the mind. The fact that urban renewal cannot work without us renewing the mind of the people. Because the government could always come in here and knock down houses and clear out lots and make it look like they're doing something. But if you have the same cluttered mentality, guess what's going to happen? The place that you cleared out, that's a new place to dump a car, or a fridge, or a stove, or burn garbage. Because people just don't value themselves, and therefore they don't value their environment. So this rite of baptism, and I'm going to really hover around this quite a bit today. And we're going to talk about the others, but I'm going to hover around this rite of baptism today, because like I said, we'll talk about this week and next week, going into what we call Emancipation Day. But the question is, will receiving the Qubtic rite of baptism cause us to regain our souls? And this is a very important question, because there are people that would have taken the rite of baptism and they were expecting some miraculous thing to happen after they took it, not knowing that they were the miracle. You are the one who's supposed to make things happen after you take the rite of baptism. You don't get back into your religious mentality and wait for things to happen. You go there and you make it happen, right? No, it alone, speaking about the Qubtic rite of baptism, will not restore your soul. Point blank, will not restore your soul. But instead it will lead you on the path of living in tune with the will of the Most High Heavenly Father. And that is what will restore your soul and help save humanity. So what actually will restore your soul is living in tune with the Most High Heavenly One. And when we talk about the Most High Heavenly One, we're talking about no spook. We're talking about all elements, all attributes, all guardian angelic hosts, all precepts. So if we look at it from a scientific point of view, just the periodic table. If you study the periodic table, okay, and in this church, you come around here long enough, I ready to put one up anyhow. Because it explains so much about who we are, and it takes the confusion out of a lot of things. Because people would love to say, but you know, Pastor Eneas, you're teaching separation, you know, by talking about the Qubtic Church and the Black Messiah, and talking about Africa. Everybody doesn't relate to that. You know, how do you actually expect to unify people by talking about, you know, only one aspect of people's culture or way of life or whatever? And the answer is quite simple. If we go back to the origin of who and what we are, and in this example I'll utilize the periodic table. Each element in the periodic table, and you see this in our parchment that speaks on the guardian angelic hosts, their attributes and the elements in you. So these elements are in you, yes, which is why the elements are utilized to baptize you and free you or emancipate you, right? Each element has a particular characteristic. Hydrogen is always hydrogen. If you start to mess with hydrogen, you can get some hybrid hydrogen, right? What does that do to water? Because hydrogen is the main component in water. And if you mess with water, what does that do to life? Because without water, there's no life. You understand? So you have some elements that are very reactive, such as hydrogen. But then on the other hand, you have some elements that are very stable. And the stable elements are what? Balanced. And they are so balanced that they refer to them as the noble gases. Gases, you know. Like Ethereans. This is science now, this is chemistry. This is what September I can be teaching 10 through 12. You understand what I'm saying? But it's right there. And these noble elements are a representation of the fact that you can be perfect. Because they are perfect elements that actually are a part of you. Okay? And then there are some elements that are kind of right in between. Okay, they're transitioning from being a metal to a gas. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the point I'm making is they now have to find a way to become balanced. And they do that by sharing or coming together with other elements to gain a stabilized state of existence. The same way we have to come together. What I need, you may have, and vice versa. And if we continue to be ourselves and to play our role, then we have a unity or unification to the point where people don't see us as an individual anymore. But those elements, once they come together and start working together, people don't see them as separate. When you see water, you don't see hydrogen and oxygen. You see water. Because the hydrogen and oxygen, they're jamming. They're working together. Separated, it will cause a fire. The Hindenburg blimp, one of the first blimps they ever created, they had hydrogen in it. And it blew up. That's why all blimps, they have helium now. They have to go to the more stable element or gas, right? But what happened? When that hydrogen ignited, what did the oxygen do? The oxygen just fueled the fire. And they had to get the hydrogen and the oxygen and put them together to spray the fire out there. Same elements, you know. Same exact elements. And that's us as a people. Alright. That's us as a people. We literally at a point whereby, because we are outside of our role and because we're trying to be so individualistic, because we're being so individualistic, we literally are very reactive, almost overreactive, spontaneously so, impulsive even, and we self-destruct. We combust to the point where we destroy ourselves and everything else around us, simply because we don't want to come together and work as a unit. Alright? And this is what this rite of baptism gets you into thinking or seeing. It says, receiving the rite of baptism is for those who want to make the spiritual journey home, thereby becoming a child of the Most High Heavenly Father and Nere once again, as opposed to a child of the world. This rite is also for those who want to be recognized as being in the image and likeness of Yahshua, thereby willing to sacrifice their lives for the betterment of humanity. Because if you look up this word cross, in the Greek is stauros, and it speaks about a stake, right? If you look at it quickly, we're going to see something very interesting. Something very interesting. Alright? So this word cross. Okay? No cross in the Old Testament now. New Testament. Storos. Okay? A stake or a post set upright. That is specifically a pole or a cross as an instrument of capital punishment. Then it goes on further. Figuratively, exposure to death. That is self-denial. Self-denial. By implication, the atonement of Christ is what they have here. So this cross doesn't only represent capital punishment. The cross also represents self-denial, self-sacrifice. Insofar as you will have to give up some of the things that maybe you wanted to do in order to better humanity, in order to get back in your role. So hydrogen it up to say, boy, you know what, I gotta stop playing with fire. So I keep burning on everything around me, including myself. And I need to, you know, I need to make amends with oxygen. So we could create some life, man. Ain't nothing to live unless me and oxygen start hanging together again and do what we're supposed to do. You understand what I'm saying? So this word cross doesn't only speak to capital punishment, and therefore those people who only think that Jesus was pinned to a cross need to think again, because the first mention of the cross is Jesus or Yahshua telling his disciples that they need to pick up their own cross. You also have to what? Live in the image and in the likeness of Yahshua. This thereby represents a change in the very manner in which you approach the clothing choices you make and the manner by which you communicate to others. Okay, because the way you dress is a way of form of communication. The way you speak, what are you telling me? Before I even hear you, before I even know who you are, you already tell me something by the way you dress. Anybody that's in business or anybody they love to teach us how to go get jobs. So anybody who's telling you how to go in a job interview, that's one of the first things they can tell you is, you know, you gotta dress properly. I don't know what, you know, proper is in relation to the Greco-Roman society that we live in today. So you go in there with a dashiki, which is the garbs of royalty. They don't look at it as the garbs of royalty, so they may look at you like, so you didn't come dressed for this occasion. No, you see? And then you know, then obviously you have a problem. It is for those who understand that members of humanity in varying degrees of genetic potency need structure in our lives by way of the scriptures of the Most High Heavenly Father. If humanity is to survive and reverse the present course of self-destruction we are on. This is the big issue I have right now with the so-called conscious community. There's little structure. And because there's little structure or accountability, it leaves us in a predicament whereby we are not able to truly reverse the course of self-destruction that we're on. So I don't care if you could recite the laws of Ma'at out your head verbatim. Or you could sit in the lotus pose. Or you know all the breathing techniques. Or you know how to say hello in, you know, 53 different ways in African. That's good. That's important. We need to know those things. But where's the structure in that? Who else is doing it with you? Are you putting yourself in a position whereby humanity, your community, can embrace it? Because if your community cannot recognize what it is that you're giving them to embrace, then you can't really blame them for not embracing it. What do I mean by that? Our country is a religious nation, a religious country. So if you plan to have them hear anything that you say, you better have some type of religious undertone in what it is that you're speaking about. Because other than that, they automatically, because we just talked about you communicating to people, they automatically say, oh, that's not for me. Or I hear you, but do they hear you? They ain't hearing you. They're not listening. Because all you are is conscious. And all you really bring with you is ego, which is to say, I can do this, and you're wrong for doing what you're doing. And that's not what we do in the Qubtic church. It's not fair to do that. If you're going to tell people that the Bible is plagiarized, yeah, which is what the conscious community does, well, give them the real Bible. Give them the original one that was plagiarized from. Isn't that only fair? Otherwise, the little bit of good that the Bible could do, now you don't even have that. So now which book do I read? Which book do I pick up? Who do I pray to? How do I pray? You take that from people and you don't give them anything that resembles what they already utilize to get to the point. You are successful people that only use the Bible. True? Yeah. Very successful people. No matter how you judge success. Right? So this emancipation by way of denying Qubtic rights is a strategic one insofar as once you actually understand that we need the structure then allows for you to actually come together and be held accountable. You can't take the rite of baptism and then decide, oh, I'm going off to do my own thing. Without the Qubtic church saying, but you just took the rite of baptism. You just made a promise. You just took an oath with your genes. You made a genetic agreement. And to go against that genetic agreement put you in a difficult position insofar as the same confusion that you said you were trying to get away from when you originally came into the Qubtic church will be right there waiting for you when you step out of it. Because you made the decision to do it, right? So this structure is key. Thus, the rite of baptism will bring us back to a point whereby we remember our original purpose of earning our way back to the bosom of the Most High. Earning. Trust is earned. Love is earned. Your way back to the Most High is earned. So how do you earn it? You earn it by actually going through and stepping through the various Qubtic rites and showing that you can be disciplined, structured, and accountable with regards to making sure that what you say you're a part of has some order, right? So this rite of baptism, which leads you now into the other Qubtic rites and aligns you with the Most High Heavenly One, is what actually restores your soul. So in Psalm 51 rather, starting at verse 12, it says, restore unto me the joy of thy salvation. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation. Every morning we start our service, starts with a bell. What do we call that bell? Bell of happiness. Yeah? You hear what? The bell of happiness ringing and reawakening all of the end of the era of religious ignorance is now upon us. So we are excited about the fact that religious ignorance, this era is over. We now have our true rights, right? So it says, restore unto me the joy of thy salvation. Okay? Let's look it up, because I want to see exactly what it's saying here in the Hebrew. So we're going to look it up in the Strong's Concordance. Psalm 51. Alright? Restore unto me. So this word restore, again, is the word shub. Yes? Shub, which means to turn back. Turn back where? To your origins. Okay? Back to nature. Alright? Restore unto me the joy. The sasun. Or sasun. Cheerfulness, specifically welcome, gladness, joy, mirth, rejoicing. Okay? Comes from sus, to be bright, that is cheerful. Alright, rejoice. So restore to me, unto me, the joy of thy salvation. What's this word salvation? Yahshua. Huh? Like it's in Yahshua. Yahshua. Okay? What does it mean? Liberty, deliverance, prosperity, safety, salvation, saving. This is all the things that we say we looking for when we emancipated. Emancipation Day is supposed to represent all of these things. Your liberty, your deliverance, your deliverance from the religious ignorance that has plagued us now for thousands of years. Your prosperity, because once you found who you are and you have the correct tools and ability, you're supposed to be able to go out there and be as successful as any other group of people on this planet. But something is not happening, and so far that's not happening to us as a people. Because even when we make the money, we go and give right back. We're not investing in ourselves. Okay, and even if you say, well, I can't go ahead and give somebody a couple $1 million just for them to blow it. Okay, well, build a school so they can learn how to spend it. I mean, if you care. If you say, yeah, you know, I gave money, you know, to different people and they didn't do what they said they was going to do with it. Okay, fine. So build a school. It's enough of us making millions of dollars to build a top university. To have our own Harvards and Yales and Princetons. I mean, we do have them here, Tuskegee University, Morehouse, Hampton. Invest in them. Make sure they don't have any bills. They shouldn't be struggling. Fisk University, these schools are struggling. These black schools are struggling. You understand? That's a problem. That's a problem. Right? Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation and uphold me with thy free spirit. What's the free spirit? The noble soul. We just talked about the noble guy. Balanced. Right? The noble soul. Okay, this word they have there for spirit really is soul. Ruach. Ruach. By resemblance, breath. Okay, that is sensible. You understand? Common sense. Not spookism. Not mystery, as we were talking about before the service. The mist of the ghost spell. Right? And it goes on to say now, verse 13, then will I teach transgressors thy ways. Once I got myself freed, emancipated, and prosperous, then I will teach transgressors thy ways. Which ways? The nine Qubtic rites in the Holy Qubtic Church. The way to pray, Selah, in the Holy Qubtic Church. The way to observe Sabbath in the Holy Qubtic Church. And sinners shall be converted unto thee. Or they will what? They will have their souls restored. Deliver me from blood guiltiness. O Nasaru Elohim, God of my salvation. and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. Alright? Blood guiltiness. Blood, when shed, causes death of man or an animal. So you got some people out there who following in the tradition of what we know as African religious systems that have already been vamped down on by other forces. A lot of them have been vamped down by certain Hindu forces, and they introduce bloodletting or blood sacrificing to these systems. Okay, this is why you got people killing chickens and sprinkling the blood over themselves, or killing a goat. And it's done throughout all of the religions, because all of the religions, if you look at them and study them, are rooted in Far Eastern philosophies. Okay? And these Far Eastern philosophies, this is where those 200 fallen angels actually fell. It was in that area that is called India today. Alright? So deliver me from blood guiltiness. Deliver me from the thought process of thinking that the blood in an animal is going to save me over the blood inside my own body. You think that the blood of an animal could save you more so than the very blood inside your own body. You've made a grave and drastic mistake insofar as your ancestors that you say you're honoring, they're inside you. Ain't inside no chicken or no goat. Matter of fact, if chicken blood was of salvation, we would be the most prosperous nation in the world. Because we consume the most chicken in the world per capita in the world. In the world. Not in the region, in the world. Get most of our chicken from Brazil. You understand? So we have to get away from these things. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O Nataru Elohim, Nataru of my salvation. Okay? The word here, salvation, is again Teshua. Shu again. Rescue, deliverance, safety, salvation. Alright? God, Nataru of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing loud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. Right? Shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offerings. Okay, but it's going to go further into it now. The sacrifices of Nataru are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O Nataru, thou wilt not despise. So that means when you out there actually teaching, and this is what the brother and I were talking about before the service, and you give everything that you have to explain to somebody, you know, why they should love themselves, or you know, what's the importance of appreciating and honoring your mothers and fathers, and they still don't hear you, and they maybe even call you some bad names, and you feel what? You feel broken. You feel weak. You feel like, why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? Nobody's listening, right? And it's saying that's the sacrifice of Nataru Elohim, of Anere, a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O Nataru, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. So it's saying, go back and build up your cities. Right? It says, then thou shalt be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness. It makes no sense talking it, but not living it. See, the 9 Qubtic rites make you actually walk the walk. You can't just come in here and talk. You see? You can't just come in here and talk. You gotta actually walk the walk. Alright? It says, then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. That sounds like a contradiction. One minute they say, we ain't into burnt offerings, and the next one they say, we into. No. Because there's feasts. So when they kill the chicken or the cow or whatever it is that people will be eating, okay? They eat it. They don't just kill it and sprinkle the blood on people. They actually kill it to eat. And that's what it's talking about. You see? When you talk about the Most High, He's coming to sup with you. Sup as in supper, like let's sit down and eat. Libation, that they have us pouring on plants and pouring on the ground and stuff. Yeah. Originally your libation was take the glass, put it in your mouth and drink it. That's libation. Because you sat and you ate and you communicated with your ancestors, and the food that you ate activated certain principles inside you by way of those various elements. Okay, the same elements that the first rite, the Qubtic rite of the Holy Qubtic Church, that first rite brings you in tune with nature and in tune with the Most High. Alright? So, emancipation then has very little to do with what we are actually looking at today, which is mimicking our oppressors. Okay, and if they could only give us one day to celebrate as Emancipation Day, then the other days, you still must be enslaved. You still must be. Because every day is Emancipation Day. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the people say, yeah, we just acknowledging it. That's what we doing. True. That's understood. But are you living the way the people that originally received emancipation, are you living the way that they expected to live after getting emancipation? That's the big question. If not, the celebration is in vain. You see? I'm not saying we should stop the celebration. I'm saying we should align our reality with the celebration. Alright? With that I say, Amun.